Right. Welcome everyone, Sunday Energizer. It's 10 o'clock Sunday morning and we are being rained on in winter in Joburg. Isn't that amazing? How awesome is this? But it's cold, so stay warm, stay in bed, cover yourself, go get back into bed if you've got your little coffee and stay warm, be good to yourself. What is better than Energizer under the blankets? Energizer under the blankets. So last time when we met 2 weeks ago, we spoke about the need to stop and that we need to stop certain things. Stop being your own worst enemy. So much about me can now stop so that life, true life, can begin. So much about me can now stop so that true life can begin. So when I sat here and I was preparing for this gathering here today and what I want to share with you, and I came across this book in my library. It's a very old book. It was the first edition was in 1948, before I was even born. And he says, this book is dedicated to a man who doesn't need to read it. Must be one of his friends that he felt never worried. So it says How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. Now, I don't think that any one of us don't know the name Dale Carnegie because his most famous book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I thought that would be a good subject for us for today to explore. The need that we have to worry about stuff. And I was very interested and very amazed when I started exploring this subject for myself, because this is what I do. I teach best what I need to learn most. Carnegie starts off the book with the fundamental facts that you should know about worry. So I started reading it, but too much stuff in there that I didn't feel that was appropriate. So I took some little bits here and there and I packaged it so that I can share it with you today. Mama C style. So when I ask for guidance about what to share with you, I'm amazed because it never happens the way I think. That is why I invite you to give yourself permission to be pleasantly surprised several times a day. Just say it. Give myself permission to be pleasantly surprised. I give myself permission to be pleasantly surprised. I give myself permission to be pleasantly surprised. So, on that note, let's say I give myself permission to receive my highest good. Because permission is a holy invocation. It's a holy invocation. Invocation means it brings to you what you speak. So when I say I give myself permission to receive my highest good, it's a holy invocation. The fundamental facts that you should know about worry. That's one of the things that he writes in the book. The fundamental facts that you should know about worry. So best to unpack this condition that rules all of our lives in some form or another. And you know, when I sat down and I thought to myself, so let me look at my own life and see, how much do I worry? Oh my gosh. I worry. Everything literally in my thinking is a form of worry. So we explore this together now. So we are inspired today by you, Mr. Dale Carnegie. Thank you very much. We're going to have fun with this subject because I never realized how severe it is. So we are so now I'm wondering, where does it come from? Why is it like that? So I sat and I asked this question, but I want to understand. Please show me. So this is the answer I received. We are so conditioned to fight for everything here on earth. Yet fighting rarely achieves what it sets out to do. Some couples fight and fight and fight and fight until they forget what they originally were fighting about even. And we are now ready. There's a lot of things that are happening to us, to our bodies, to our psyche, to our consciousness that is busy ascending. It has to ascend on this earth. We can't continue in the same vein that we've been doing for thousands of years. Evolution calls for growth. Evolution calls for things to get better. That's what it means to evolve. So we are now ready to end this inner fight because the fight begins in here. The fight starts in here and then it escalates out there. So we can now end this inner fight and give permission instead. Think about that. Instead of fighting, instead of worrying, instead of fretting, instead of sitting with this anxiety, why don't you rather give permission and make it a sacred invocation? A sacred invocation is going to bring to you what you want. It's not going to happen the way you think. But when you give permission to be pleasantly surprised, my word is my honor, I can assure you, you will be. We are called to surrender and calm down. Surrender and calm down within. This current cycle that we are in is so chaotic because we need to go from polarity thinking, this or that. It's always polarities, it's always the extremes. So we need to go from polarity thinking to holistic thinking. And when I looked at it semantically, a whole is an entrance into something. Holistic gives you access to living in wonder and with eyes of beauty, into your deepest recesses of your being. So going deep within is the gateway to truly living life. And there's very few people that actually realize this. Very few people think that there's any value or any worth or anything to gain from just exploring your own psyche, exploring what is available for you. So Mr. Carnegie says, and please it's not verbatim, I'm sharing, our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance. Our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do and attend to what lies here clearly at hand. And what does worry do? Worry takes us to concentrate what lies dimly in the distance, and then we neglect to do what lies clearly at hand. The best possible way to prepare for tomorrow is to concentrate with all your intelligence, all your enthusiasm on doing today's work. Exceptional today, superbly today, giving your best, your 100%. Every day is a new life to a wise man. Isn't that an amazing statement? Every day is a new life to a wise man. Each morning I say to myself, today is a new life. And even in our masterclass in psychology, we are now encouraged to look at each day as a full day to individuate, which means to become your best that you can be, to become that unique cluster of information, that unique individual that you've come to be on this earth. The proof is there. So each morning I say to myself, today is a new life. Carpe diem, seize the day. Today is a new life. I don't know what it's going to offer me. I don't know what I'm going to counter. But a good question for consideration is, how do you plan to motivate yourself when obstacles arise? How do you plan to motivate yourself when obstacles arise? Now, I looked at this word motivate. You know, when my psyche hears the word motivate, it already switches off these days. There's so much going on that wants to motivate you. You know, motivate you so much that wants you to motivate me, get me going, give me the chutzpah, give me the oomph. When my psyche hears the word motivated, go, yeah, okay. Because it's an overused and under-delivering term that is encountered in daily life, and it's very quickly dismissed by the psyche, especially when the results on offer is non-existent. Okay, so now I'm supposed to feel motivated. What does that mean? Results are lost in all the hype and the need to impress. Because that's really what's happened to motivation. Motivation has become something that people pull their nose up at because they think, nah. You know, I send out an invitation to nearly 40 people every time I do an Energizer. The invitation is, lie in your bed on a Sunday morning. Just come listen to me. I don't need to see you. You can be in the nude. Just come listen and receive some oomph for the week. You know why they don't come? Because they think it's motivation. And when they think about motivation, they switch off immediately. Because that is what social media mostly has done to the word motivation. So results are lost in all the hype and the need to impress, because that's what motivation has become. Everyone is elbowing to get to sit on the stage with the bright lights on them and to be interviewed by Oprah. You know, that's most people. When you've been interviewed by Oprah, then you have arrived. Or when you sit on the lights, you know, on a bright stage with one of these special interviewers that has these amazing podcasts that is listened to millions and millions of people, then you have arrived. And those are not necessarily things that benefit your life. It's just a hype, and that's the way it's supposed to be, so that you can be an impressed people, you know, be an influencer. So they don't use the word motivation anymore. They've changed it now to influencer, you see. So let's look at emotional awareness. Because I think that when you want to start exploring the subject of worry, I think we need to start with emotional awareness. Do you know how you feel right now at this moment? What did you feel just before you fell asleep last night, for instance? Is it not amazing, this sleep habit that we have, that we cannot ever determine the moment we fell asleep, but we fall asleep? Do we fall into something? do we fall into something when we go to sleep? Is it the place that you go to? So when you sleep, what happens to your feelings? Have you ever slept and that you find that in sleep that you are worry free? Don't you also find that when you sleep in your dreams, you very often also worry whether you're going to be safe, whether you're going to be, if some monster is chasing you. There's always some form of worry that is present in our psyche. And I find that very interesting because really, at the end of the day, there's no need. So we fall when we're going to sleep. I fall asleep. So, if we're not going to label our feelings, because I'm asking you, do you know what you feel right now? If we're not going to label our feelings as good or bad, not positive or negative, but rather observe the feelings, because your feelings are coming and going, but you are staying. Your feelings are coming and going, but you stay. So this thing called worry, how do you handle this ingrained mode of conduct? How do you handle it so that you can take charge of it, so that you can actually be the one who determines what happens there? How do you handle this ingrained mode of conduct? Which it's not even something that we need to think about. I think worry is by now just an automatic response. So let's look. Why do you worry? Why do you worry? Most of our worry is about the fight that will ensue within or without. Worry or dread or fear is related to our survival. It is an instinctual default to ensure that you will continue, to ensure that you will stay alive, that you will wake up to live another day. That is the core, the source, the originator of your worry, is about what you are going to have to fight next in order to continue your life, to stay alive. This is our real fight daily. We don't think of it like that, but your instinctual self does think about it like that. It thinks about what you're going to have to fight next in order to stay alive and to be able to continue. Now just think how ridiculous that is. And so what we worry about is the continuation or the discontinuation of something in the future. And it causes a fight within you. Worry is a fight. Worry is something you're busy fighting with something when you worry. Worry is a fight. And it causes a fight within you every day. And we may never need to fight. Let's look at what is true about life. You don't have to fight to breathe. If you are healthy and your body's strong, there's no need for you to fight to breathe. We may never need to fight. It can be easy and effortless. It can be easy and effortless. It's meant to be a joyous and wonderful experience, this life. More and more and more in my research, I'm finding the validation over and over and over that this life, what we are living, is meant to be a joyous and wonderful experience. Not as in superficial, pretentious show-offness. No, it's meant to be a sacred, wonderful, so that when your last thought, your last feeling, when you lie in your bed, when you actually, that moment that you fall asleep, that you go to sleep. Strange how we, is it the place that we go to? Is it the place that I fall into? But sleep, when your body is recharging, when everything is resetting, so that you may live another day. You have a wonderful experience. Your last thought before you go to sleep, before sleep comes and joins you. Let that thought be, wow, I seized this day. I lived it and I did wonderfully. And it was easy and effortless, and I feel so deeply, deeply satisfied. So that there can be no space for worry and dread in your life. This is a place for everything under the sun, this earth. This is a place for everything under the sun. When you choose to know your worry program, because you have a worry program, when you choose to know your worry program, its facets, its agendas, just look how much you worry, whether you are good enough, whether you are good enough. Am I good enough to get a loan from the bank? Am I good enough to be able to buy another car? Am I good enough to have a beautiful physique? Am I good enough? Why are we always so worried about whether we are good enough? Because when you are not good enough, it means you must fight for your place. You must fight to belong. You must fight for acceptance. You must fight. Worry, fight. Fight, worry. Worry to fight for your place, to be employed, to work and be self-sufficient. Am I good enough? Worry whether you are good enough. Going for the interview, am I going to be good enough? Worried. All your worry is about this fight for continuation, this fight to survive another day, this fight to have a place on this earth, competition for what is deemed limited resources. That's what the fight is all about. It's a competition for limited resources. There is not enough. So we must fight someone off to have what we feel entitled to. And that's one of the things that they share with us in the Celestine Prophecy. James Redfield, one of the most amazing series of books, where he shares with us in the Celestine Prophecy. He shares with us in the Celestine Prophecy and he says, there is enough. There is enough energy. There is enough resources. There is enough for all of us. And to this day, I'll remember that analogy that I shared with you sometimes in the gift process, in the life process. I share with you that if they take all the money in the world, all the money that exists, all the denominations, all the currencies of the entire world, let's say we bring that all into dollars. We make it all dollars, one world currency. We're going there anyway, but let's say it's dollars. And we take all the people on the earth, every single living human being, including children. Now, they did this exercise way back in, I think it was in the mid 1900s, 1960 odd there, they did this exercise. And then you divide all this money that is in circulation on the earth. You divide it, and you count every human being, and you then divide it amongst all those human beings. So if we have to do that today, even so much more, there's so much more money in circulation. But in the mid 1900s, each person would have received 25,000 US. So today, that figure would be considerably higher. If all the resources, because what do we deem to be the main resource on earth? Money. So if we have to take just that energy and we divide it amongst all the living people on this planet, there would be more than enough. And then you can realize that today, in this space where you're listening to my voice today, that you can stop your worry whether you are good enough to have enough. Because you are enough. But when you stop the worry and you change it to permission, you change it to an invocation, and you say, I give permission for what is mine by my birthright to come into my life. And then you need to do contemplation. You need to come and sit with an old woman like me and listen how you can educate your psyche, how you can educate your ability to have the capacity to receive what is enough for you. To be self-sufficient, because that is what this whole system has been designed to do. It is designed to offer us the opportunity to be self-sufficient. But for that, you have to be resourceful. You need to be tenacious. You need to stand in your glorious self so that life itself can see, here is an organism that deserves support to grow. It's enough. It supports itself to make sure. That's what the weed does in your garden. That weed uses all the resources available to it to prosper. It's not selective. That's why it grows so well. You don't have to be a weed, but learn from something that is prospering in spite of its challenges. And then you make that work for you because you want to be good enough. You want to feel that last thought that you feel when you go to sleep at night is, I am good enough. I am good enough. And I'm happy with that. I feel satisfied. I feel whole and complete. And my word is my honor. You will see your health improve significantly if you can do that. You will see your health improve significantly when you stop worrying. You will see your health improve beyond measure when you honor yourself, when you start invocation, when you give permission, when you start inviting instead of worrying. Worry to fight for your place. Worry to fight for your place with employment. Work just so that you can be self-sufficient. No, our earth offers you that. It's a system of self-sufficiency. And really, I'm reiterating to you that your worry is about this fight, this competition for what is deemed and believed to be limited resources. and there is not enough, so we must fight someone off to get and to receive what we're entitled to. And then we worry about the process. We worry about the fight. We worry about the challenge. We worry about the obstacle. We worry about, how am I going to do this? Now you worry about what the obstacle looks like, how high the mountain is, how deep the valley is, how deep the gorge is, how this obstacle that you have to overcome. Part of the fight. You'll see that everything that you worry about, and my word is my honor, bring it down to its bottom line, to its base energy, to its source. You'll see it's about a fight. Some sort of fight for your own continuation, for you to feel okay, for you to feel good enough, for you to feel satisfied, for you to feel, I am blessed with enough. Call it what you like. Call the obstacle, the challenge, the thing, you can even call it a goal. Same. Call it what you like. It feels like a fight, so you worry. It feels like a fight, so you worry. Not good enoughness delivers self-doubt, delivers you to sadness, not vulnerability, sad. Deep, deep sadness. That's a melancholy that borders on, and in modern language, we call it depression. But it's pushing you deeper and deeper and deeper into your own misery because of your fear of all the things that you're going to have to fight. Get through. I heard on the news this morning, 20 people were killed, 22 people were killed in a tavern last night in East London. Fighting to get your share. Not good enoughness delivers self-doubt. It delivers sadness. It delivers regret. It delivers you to comparison. And a comparison is one of the biggest forms of fighting. You know, we have to fight someone to be like that. We have to fight this energy to be able to be like that. You're fighting with yourself because you don't look like that, because you don't own that, because you haven't achieved that. Comparisonitis. It's an inner war. What is the ultimate of a big fight where there's a lot of people involved fighting? It's a war. And I was amazed to be shown today that this is what this whole earth story is about. It's one continuous fight to continue and to survive another day. Why? We've got so much to enjoy. Just this day. If you can just take this day and make it a day in which you're going to enjoy. You're going to enjoy and you're going to seize the day. Carpe diem. Whatever comes, seize it. But catch the worry. Because the worry is only about the fight. And of course, when we have, the self-doubt, the sadness, the regret, the comparison, all that stuff, the much more, the list goes on and on and on. We add a good dose of worry to that. We sprinkle it liberally with worry. There is a reason why we decide to make things harder for ourselves. We are unconsciously justifying the struggle. Because when you worry, I can assure you, you're in a struggle. And what occurs is we repeat the same pattern as a déjà vu experience. It's a habit on repeat that we are willing to wake up to and go to sleep to, and Freud calls it repetition compulsion. Energy alignment teaches you to get out of the way and surrender fully to the path unfolding for you. Trust the process. Trust in you. You know, everything is easy and effortless, but you still have to do. What does it mean to do? So people say to me, "Oh well, if I have to pick up this heavy stone, that's not effortless." Well, when you actually go into a mindset, you take this and you take the worry out of it, and you just allow yourself to be resourceful, to be tenacious, because this planet is a planet of doing. It's a planet of action. Look at nature. There's not one animal in nature that sits on its ass in the sun all day and does nothing. It works. It's running around. Some sleep in the day, some is active at night, some is active sleep at night, and they're active in the day. Whatever their cycle, they all have a cycle, because they can't all be active in the daytime. Some of them have to be active at nighttime in order to give the balance and the equilibrium. So when you look at the animals in nature, they need to pick up heavy rocks sometimes because they want to eat. It's not just going to fall in your lap. It's a planet of doing. So you've got to be yourself. The beaver has got to be a beaver in order to do his life, so that he can experience himself as a beaver and receive life as a beaver. I don't even know why I say beaver. I watched something last night with some very aggressive beavers. I didn't know they were so aggressive. So that's what the beavers, the mind by association, I'm talking to you now about fighting, and my mind goes and fetches the image of the beaver, which is something I saw last night before I went to bed that was fighting, and that's the association it makes. It's so amazing. So when you trust the process and you trust in you, and you realize that energy alignment, when you become aligned with the energy of your life, the energy of your life it teaches you, it governs you, it guides you to get out of the way and to surrender to the flow, to this wonderful path of unfolding. That is our gift. But it's not about so much the effort that you need to put into things. It's about you are called for, you are demanded of to participate. If you don't participate, you can't be part of anything. You also can't be part of continuation. You can't be part of collecting and receiving and getting the good stuff. If you haven't participated, don't expect the result. And how often do you limit your participation? Nobody out there will know, but you know how much you limit your participation. Why? Because you worry. What will they think of me? What are they going to think? And here's me attending my brother's funeral on Friday, not having seen my mother's side of the family for 13 years. It was one of my mother's boys that died. I was so worried. What will they think of me? What are they going to say behind my back? How are they going to talk about me? Because that's what I always worried about when I was a child with them anyway. What has it changed about my life? Whether they're going to talk about me or not, what does it change about me? I'm participating. And if I choose not to participate, it's because I protect myself. I don't have to participate if I don't want to. I protect myself. But I participate in an environment where there is value for me. Because I also want to have some of that value. I'm not just going to put in a little, what shall I call it, a grain of sugar. I'm not just going to contribute a grain of sugar just so everybody can see, there's my little grain. So now you don't have to be upset with me. Participate. So that you can stop worrying that whether you are good enough. The reason why you worry that you're not good enough is because you withhold so much of yourself. Huh? You give just that little bit. And even when there's an opportunity for you that's created for you to give a lot of yourself, you can't even do that. You can't even contribute in that mode of yourself because of the worry. I'm not, all this, of course this. Why must I do it for you? Well, sometimes you do it for somebody because they do a lot for you. And you benefit a lot. Then you participate fully in honor of yourself. Because you want to collect, you want to receive, you want to grow, you want to look good. It's part of our intrinsic need to want to look good. We want to be an example, of course. But you're not going to be an example if you're going to ride on other people's backs to get there. You've got to stand out. An example is something that stands out. How can you be an example when you worry as much as you do about so many things? Also about yourself, your life, your health, your continuation. What's going to happen to this? Who's going to take care of that? What's going to happen here? Those things are going to get dealt with anyway, whether you worry about them or not. They're going to get dealt with. And if you say to me, but I need to worry about my children's future, no, you don't. Because look how much you're doing today to make sure that that future is secure. More than that, you can't do. And worry is not going to secure it. Because you need to realize that your children has an obligation to themselves, a responsibility to be self-sufficient, to look after themselves, to be tenacious, to be resourceful, because life out there is a jungle. And it's full of wild animals that catch you if you're not awake. Because if you go into the jungle with no weapon, you will be eaten if you are not clever. You need to, and that's why we arm ourselves. That's why we then find a stick or something that we can. Why? Because it's a fight. It's a fight to stay alive. That's what we believe, because that's how it works in nature. But we have evolved a little bit beyond the bare minimum of primal. We, at least a little bit. We've created some creature comforts that we can rely on. That, I've got a roof over my head, even though I have to pay a lot of money to keep it sealed from the rain. And then I worry about that. You see, so it's always the one above the other, above the other. No, we must free ourselves of that. It's absolute nonsense. Nonsense. So when you surrender, you stop the fight. You end the struggle of worry. Why worry when you can give permission? Why worry when you can speak an invocation? Why worry? In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God, and God said, let there be light. You have the Word. It's what set you apart from the animals. You have the Word. Invocation, speak it over your life. Bring it by speaking it, because it will obey the words. But now you can't speak these words when it's backed with all this worry. Do you think life is going to listen to you when it's backed with all this energy, this worry, and this and tick, 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 tick. No, it's not going to listen to you. It doesn't want to be part of the fight. The only reason animals fight with each other in nature is to determine who has got courage. Because it's only courage that makes it on this planet. If you don't have courage, you don't make it here. Courage. That's why the word rage is encompassed in courage. Because we do it with so much anger and with so much rage. Because we believe it's a fight. It's not a fight. It's simply just showing that you know that you're good enough. It's not a fight. That moment of complete surrender that brings in automatically the money, automatically the situation you need to heal, the best teachers for your children, wonderful resources, the relationship of your dreams, the dream career, the dream business, the dream travel. You can insert whatever you want here. It will bring it to you, but it's not going to happen the way you think. And you must consider that you made choices, you made agreements before you came into this life of what you are going to do and what you're going to experience in this life and what feelings and emotions and things you will experience, because you did a triple review at the time of your death. There's so much research now that shows us that that's true. The triple review is spoken about in the Holy Scriptures as well. You see your life flash in front of your eyes. And at that time, when you're in the moment of your death, when you leave this body, when you leave this life you can only live once. There will only ever be one Charlotte Spiridonova or Charlotte Vosloo as I was born in this life with this set of fingerprints. This life does not repeat. That's how unique it is. So I have chosen, before I came into this life, I have chosen with a council of people, with people that sat, and because based on my triple review, the things that I need to learn, I need to experience in this life. That's why I teach you in the infinity process what your life lesson for this lifetime is. Some people have more than one life lesson. Some people have several. Some people have only one. I always thought there was only one. But Spirit said to me, no, because of this planet being a process of change, there's many. And as you heal the one, you will have another to heal. So sometimes you're busy healing all of them at once. So therefore, it's a very interesting process. But now what was done is, and I truly feel that this is part or one of the veils that's been introduced to us, is that's why we're born in forgetfulness. That's worry does that for us. It makes us forget things. And the more we worry, the more we forget. So when there's things that you need to experience in your life, there's no amount of invocation or doing, or because you've already agreed to that. You can't change it now. You now need to have tenacity and the resourcefulness and the things you need to show up and show that you can learn that lesson and that you can overcome it by yourself. That you can integrate it in here. That it no longer has to be something that worries you. So you can dream all these things and still within that, when you know that you are a good person, when you know I'm a good person, I'm kind to people, I give my best, I go out of my way. Don't always look for your reward from earth. Your reward is in a much higher, I'm going to speak to you about that now. Your reward is in a much higher plane. Because then you've got to think of yourself as a highly evolved being. Because if you're a good person on this planet, this is a penal colony. Penal colony means that this is where they dump the worst of the worst of the worst in terms of consciousness. Because they can't operate anywhere else. They're too destructive. They get dumped on earth so that they can learn to feel, to have emotion. Because this is basically like, it's not even kindergarten. It's below that in terms of consciousness. If you think about going to matric and university, etc., etc. So when you know that you're a good person in this environment, in this cruel and at war, constantly fighting world, then you must know that you're a highly evolved being. Because the real, the true, because real is rare on this earth now. Real is rare. Something that is real and authentic normally has a very high value because it's very rare. So to encounter someone who's truly good, who don't just give that tiny little grain, but give of themselves in wherever they are. They are generous, they are considerate, and they are generous. Those are the people that are highly evolved beings. And I've noticed in my years of teaching, and I've done everything I can to bring that consciousness about and to awaken it. But if someone doesn't have the ability to feel deeply grateful for what they receive and to be able to express it generously, they hold themselves back in a big way. And it manifests in their physical bodies, it manifests, and they'll feel always that they just can't get what they want. And they worry about it all the time. What is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm missing? What they're missing is that they're not truly grateful. And the way that is visible is that one can see it in their expression. It's very hard for them to thank and to say thank you. And it shows in consideration and generosity as well. Because to be considerate, you can see. It's not something that you can teach someone. You're either a considerate person or you're not. And it's not about worrying about it. It's about your life lesson. Because if you're not a considerate person, it means that you've come into this life to learn consideration. So I often say to parents with small children that were aristocrats and they come from a very high lineage and they've come back into this lower plane. You can even see some of them. They have this, the way they hold they're tiny babies, and the way they hold their hand, they're already like the queen, you know, with the hand. When you can see it, it's in their genes. And they come to this earth because it's a penal colony to learn to be humble, to have a humble presence. Because you need to have a humble presence to stand out as a good person. It's not something that you flaunt. It's not something that you impress people with. When you're a good person, you are cared for by life. And my word is my honor. You'll always have enough. Worry does not secure your future. Worry drains your power. It makes you feel tired of life, tired of struggle, tired of fighting. Because worry is about fighting. When you're in a state of worry, I'm telling you now, you're busy fighting. You're overloading your adrenals. You're excreting a lot of stress hormones into your body. You're going to have deeper and more and pronounced anxiety, because the body's chemicals is going to ensure that, because it's fight or flight. It's in the chemicals in your hormones of your body. It's the way it's programmed. You now need to have new consciousness. You need to be the alchemist to change these processes that have been ingrained in human bodies on this earth for epochs of time. We need to change it because we can. We have the power. But we need to start with simple things. You need to stop worrying. Because it's the worry that sets you up to fight all the time. That perpetuates the fight or flight. You've got to now start living your life appreciating results that mirrors for you who you are. They're not results that put you on a pedestal where people can admire you. They're results that gives you a simple life, a life of freedom, a life of living and being good to yourself and being able to explore the wonders of what I've been saying to you this morning, that giving of yourself, that participation. The share, no wonder it's rhyme. Sharing is caring. And I'm not here to care for everybody out there and to worry about all the people that's on the street and that's got nowhere to live and all of that's not my business. That really, and it's not my business. Because I'm telling you, each one of us start off on the same place on this earth. Each one of us. We're all a baby. We all need someone to take care of us until we're old enough to look after ourselves. And then we have a choice. And yes, I was listening again to someone this morning talking on the radio about how brutally they were abused as children. But today they run a huge organization or whatever, I don't know, about how to empower. I think it's working with children on the Cape Flats to get them to not to join the gangs and stuff that's going on there. Very, very serious stuff that's going on in our own country. But then there's respect, because then I remember, but we make choices before we come here. And what are those choices? Because those choices play a role and they're important and they dictate and they determine. I always use the analogy of a railway track. Tracks have been laid and they go through sometimes horrific places, but you have the right to choose the coach and you can choose how fast you go, how forward, how backwards, how slow, how fast, whether you want to travel in luxury. You have choices, but some things are determined and they are set in, they're cast in stone. That's how it is. And then I'm also hearing now that can even be changed with tenacity and resourcefulness. You can put down new tracks. You don't have to just stay with those ones. So there we go. I'm also learning. I always thought that the tracks were quite rigid, but Spirit says nothing is rigid. Choose results that mirror for you and show up with rewards that feel like euphoric and ecstasy. Show up with those kind of rewards for yourself. If you want to be an achiever, if you want to be the number one in something, if you want to go and do that, do it. But do it for yourself, not for anyone else. Do it because that's what you want to show yourself. And, show up with rewards that make you feel euphoric and ecstasy and oh wow, and when it starts giving, it just keeps on giving. And that's why you give yourself permission to be pleasantly surprised, because you are surprised every day with the wonderful things that happen to you. Oh, I'm surprised every day with how good people are to me. People are so good to me. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to be supported. And for most of my life, I believed that I wasn't supported. And I cried and I was so sad about it. And you know what support I was looking for? I just realized it now as I'm talking to you. I was looking for the support of a man. I wanted to be married. And I wanted to have a husband that was going to look after me and buy me a nice big house and be good to me. And there I am at my age, I'm pushing 70 and I'm on my own. And it's exactly the opposite of my dream. And I wrote someone this week. I wrote to her. I said to her, it's a beautiful child. She's been in my space for many years. And I wrote to her, but she's not in the school. So I wrote to her. I said to her, you know, when I watch your status, you are living the life that I dreamed about. Because she's married to a man that's so wonderful to her, and he's very successful in his business, and he bought her a beautiful old house, and she's got all her animals, and she's got this wonderful lady that supports her and assists her in the house. So she's living a royal life like a queen with all these beautiful little animals, and she's got like a zoo almost, this child. I said to you, live the life of my dreams. And now I realize, you know, that I'm showing up with rewards for myself in my life. I live a simple life, but the rewards that I give myself. And I know many people ask me, why don't you write books? Why don't you? I really don't want to have the burden of so many people that I have to satisfy every day of my life. Because if I'm going to go to that place where so many people are going to rely on me to guide them and to show them the way, I don't want to do it because I want to sit in bright lights. Then I want to take on that responsibility. And it's not for me in this lifetime. I want to work with people who's going to be so devoted to themselves that they will show me that they alone can change this planet. So live from today like you are living your dreams. It doesn't matter if you haven't got a job. It doesn't matter if you didn't get a loan from the bank. It doesn't matter if there's crime down your street. It doesn't matter if you hear things on the news that is upsetting. Live like you're living your dreams. This is the way our earth plane functions. It's the truth. It's all about reward. If you see how people train animals, they're constantly rewarding them. It's the process of reward. Why won't you include yourself in that process as a human being? You know, it's about rewards in nature and in science. I hope I've got a tissue here now. You know, that energy comes and then it just pops me, literally, and I can do nothing about it, because when that vulnerable energy comes to me, I need to acknowledge it. And if I don't, it closes up my throat. I can't talk. And it wants to be seen, it wants to be heard, and it wants to be acknowledged. So here I am, you know. in all my glory. I always used to get so upset when I was a child, when my eyes get so red when I cry. So here I am with my, what you resist, persist. So this is the way of our earth and how the earth plane functions. It's all about reward. Even in nature and in science, whatever you look at, science is about reward, because you get rewarded with a wonderful result when you do your scientific research. Then you can write a paper and then you get rewarded with a Nobel Prize. It's all about reward. So we want the best. We want the ultimate reward all of the time. Of course, you are entitled to want the ultimate reward. But don't worry about getting the ultimate reward. Seize the day. If you are a good person, you can rest assured you'll be taken care of. Because it's only the good that allows evolution to happen in the way that it does. The bad things and the things that are the negative things don't allow evolution. Look at our planet. We're still at war and fighting each other and torturing each other and slitting each other's throats. After thousands of years, we should be way beyond that by now. And it's all about those who worry that they don't have, and they have to fight with those that they deem have. But it's the same for all of us. We just need to be willing to participate and to do our share in order to achieve it and to have some of it. It's not going to happen for nothing. And that's what's encouraged, to believe that it happens for nothing with things like the lotto. It's not how it works here. It's enough when you say it's enough. It's good enough when you trust and accept it. And it's a choice. It's a call to faith and dedication and even devotion. But the devotion is first and foremost to yourself, because you need to be devoted to the dreams that you have for yourself, for your life. When you apply yourself with dedication, you need not be worried. You can trust. And it's a choice to be in the path of the most resistance versus the path of the least resistance. What is the path of the least resistance? It's the path of surrender, because it's going to determine, it's going to look the level of your resistance, the level of your need to fight, the level of your need to compete, the level of your need to prove yourself is going to determine the level of your worrying. Because the more you have to fight, or that you believe that you have to fight, because you don't really have to, but you create such an environment to make you believe that you have to fight. I created for years and years such an environment where I believed that I was not supported, that I was all on my own, that I was excluded, that I was, I even created it with my family. I haven't seen my mother's side of the family for 13 years. It's a long time, and it's a very big family. It's a lot of people. It's enough when you say it's enough. And when you realize that when you are devoted to yourself, you need to see the results of your own life. And you need to look at what you contribute and what you participate in. And where you participate and what that takes of your life. Because if you're going to participate in something, I can tell you now, it's going to take a toll. Because if you're going to participate in, an Ironman competition every month, your body's probably going to say, no, I can't do this. I don't know what those fitness levels require of people. But many of them die. They have heart attacks, young people, because they push themselves too far. It's enough when you say it's enough. And it's good enough when you trust and accept it. And it's a choice. It's a call to faith and dedication. And I advocate devotion to yourself, to be devoted to you being that highly evolved being on this planet. And whatever that represents for you, I trust that I'll have enough time to share with you what Neil Donald Walsh says about the highly evolved being. So when you apply yourself with dedication, you need not be worried. All you need to do is to trust. And very important is to consider any assumptions and expectations you contribute to the process of worrying too, because you also make assumptions and you have expectations when you worry. Lots of them. And a lot of it is just plain bullshit. You're really lying to yourself just so that you can feel worse. What for? That you can worry more. What for? You know, when you have assumptions, you think on behalf of another person or someone who's also making choices. That's assumptions. And expectation is when you think on behalf of life and what life must deliver to you as a result. Like you predetermine what the result's going to look like and even what it's going to feel like. And when it doesn't happen, then you're very disappointed because you didn't get that feeling. Just do your best and accept, your best is enough. You begin again and you begin again, and if it didn't work out, you do it again another way. But carpe diem, carpe diem. And then it's, seize the day and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. Ad infinitum, if you want. Or to your departure from this body. And perhaps we don't have to depart from the body, who knows? Worry is like treading up a hill in order to achieve, with your efforts. You don't have to run the up race in order to prove that you can. I mean, imagine running 90, nearly 100 kilometers uphill all the time. I really don't need to do that to prove to my body that I'm fit. When I'm healthy, I'm fit. So over extended periods, this can cause a lot of illness, because if you're constantly going to push yourself to run uphill in order to achieve with your efforts, you're going to overextend. And because over extended periods of fight or flight the whole time, you will be sick. That's why a lot of people are ill on this planet at the moment. It's because of the fight or flight in their bodies. Their adrenals are just making the body sick. It's complete overstimulation. So if you take the I and you replace it with we, then our illness becomes wellness. Because if you take the I out, what is it that we all have in common? The I. I am, I, that thing we all have in common. Same. If we take the I and we replace it with we, then we have illness that becomes wellness. And it can only become a we on this planet when we stop the I on the board. We stop the I that we focused on. In wellness, there is no space for worry, only to enjoy. You overwork yourself with worry. When you worry, you overwork yourself. That is where the majority of your daily energy goes. Overthinking, obsessing, planning every second. And you can plan by all means, but it never happens the way you think. It's not my rule, it's how it works here. You overwork with analyzing the pros and cons all the time. Is it this or is it that? What's going to happen if no. Constant comparisonitis. Analyzing the pros and cons. You overwork yourself with it. Thinking up loads of excuses and justifying them. And I'm not sitting here in judgment of you. I teach best what I need to learn most. I do this all the time myself. That's why I can talk to you about it today, because I can sit and I can look at myself and I write it all down and I come sit here and I come share it with you. For those of you who are willing to come and listen and give me your presence. And you overthink until it becomes forced. Then the fight is on. Because the forced feeling activates the rebel in you. None of us, look at your children, they don't like it when you force them. They become rebellious. They break things, they do things, they don't want you to force them. And you've got to find a way so that, why do they feel forced? Why is there a fight? Because there's so much worry in the picture. When you feel forced, you're stuck in your rightness. You become unwilling. You don't want to participate. You can see this process in your children too. We master this at a very young age. We become obsessed with the how. What am I going to do? How will I do this? Worry, 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 worry. What is missing is that you are out of alignment. And if you're out of alignment, you can't ascend. And we're all busy, the consciousness is busy ascending on this planet. We are in that process. Now we may as well start recognizing what this game is required of us and to play, because we're players, we're participants. So we may as well now look, what is missing? What is out of alignment within you? Right now, and I'm willing to be wrong, is your own availability and your capacity, because your availability and your capacity is absorbed by worry. Or you're very willing, but availability is the how. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Worry, 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 worry. What does it do to your capacity? Kadoosh. Cup is closed, thank you. Nothing goes out, nothing comes in. When you worry so much, you feel forced. And you will feel stressed and pressurized. If you feel forced, you will feel stressed and pressurized. Full stop. You can look at this, overgiver, under-receiver. Then you're pleasing, you feel ignored, you're constantly fighting. In your career, it will be lack of appreciation and feeling underpaid. In your family, it will be disconnected, miscommunication, misunderstood. None of my family know what I do. Not one of them. They don't know. They just asked me, am I still working? I said yes. So the thing that they won't tell you about misalignment is that often it shows up in our lives and it's generated unconsciously. It shows up in our lives as worry and dread. Our job is to wake up and change these worry thoughts. It will show up in how you treat yourself. Where you feel the most resistance in your life currently is how you feel about yourself. Go check. It will show up in the way that you experience yourself in relationships too. It will show up in who you be, in your habits, in your repeated behaviors, because denial is the source of core addiction, of core habits. Nothing's hiding. It's pretty obvious when you look at it and you look to see it. You can see your reactions. You can see your complaints. You can see your excuses. You can see how you show up when you're in fear, when you're in uncertainty, when you're in doubt, when you are worrying. And most of all, if you're stuck in a fight, if you're stuck in flight, then you freeze. Because most of the time, fight or flight is a freeze, initially at least. You freeze because you totally disabled. Cancel that thought. Switched off. Unplugged. You don't want to live there anymore. Worry is the misalignment. Worry, if you take the word worry and you shift it into worthy of real reverence, that's worry. And you take and you remove the why. You remove the whys, the why. And you know that understanding is the booby price if you insist to have it at the start. You're going to get something to understand, but it's not going to be the truth. It's going to be an assumption or an expectation. But when understanding finds you after the experience, beyond worry, that's the real prize. So I'm going to conclude with that for today. I'm not going to have time to share with you Highly Evolved Being by Mr. Neil Donald Walsh. I'll keep that for our next session. And then I'll share with you how to know if you're a highly evolved being. I'll share that with you in the next session, which will be the first weekend of July. So have a wonderful rest of your 2 weeks until I see you again. Thank you for your presence today.